Hey, good morning. Good to
Hello,
see you here.
Barbara.
Hi.
How you doing?
Right, here we go. We're going to start week 4 of the LLP EVO 2022. Just started to record. I'm going to share my screen with you guys so you can see. Oh, I need to make the projector. 1 second. Projector. Create output projector. Over there. There we go. Should be able to see my screen now. Right. Here we go.
Can you see it?
Here we go. Where am I at? I want to be around here. Okay, good morning everyone, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is for you guys. Welcome to week 4 of the LLP EVO course. We're going to be covering week 4 material and week 5 material in preparation for the final meeting that we have next Saturday, this time next week. So yeah, this time next week is going to be our final session, and in the final session we'd like to have a kind of introduce the work that you've done on your player worksheet, because I see there's a bunch of player worksheets now. There's lots of people. What am I sharing? Yes, I'm sharing that. Okay, there's a bunch of people that have created the worksheet. You've obviously been filling it in, and we don't want this work that you've been filling in just to be thrown away into the void. We want you to actually share the work that you've done with other participants, get some feedback, and hopefully put the work that you've done here into practice in your own classroom or your own teaching context. So next week will be kind of a show and tell for your work. So today we're going to look at week 4 material, and we're all going to be filling in this worksheet together. So, I mean, to be honest, you don't really need to be looking at my screen. Most of the stuff that we'll be doing today will be directly on this worksheet. So let me just share the link with you in Discord. There it is. I'll throw it in general chat. This is the worksheet link. I mean, of course, the worksheet link was in the document channel anyway, but yeah, this is a direct link to where I'm looking, which should be week 4, all about language. So please join me in the document. Oh, before that, I should talk about week 3 discussion. This is the discussion channel that we had last week. Just going to change that, bring this over. So now I'm streaming my Discord channel. Okay, so yeah, let's have a look at some of the participants' entries for the week 3 discussion from last week. Now, if you remember, the week 3 discussion was to take a game or a playful activity, a ludic activity, and think about the language in the game, the language around the game, and the language inspired by the game. There was a kind of a template that we made in Discord here. Jonathan shared some game ideas, and let's have a look. We have this one from Pixie, who I believe is not in the chat right now. Okay, so this is, I forgot what her real name is. What's her real name? Pixie? Vicky? I want to say Vicky. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, Pixie. We'll just go for Pixie. Pixie chose the Jackbox game with the Trivia Murder Party. Language in the game. Language used by the host. Language in the questions. Yes. Instructions for mini games. Language around the game. Googling information. Memes. Pop culture. Great. Joining public Jackbox streams. Okay. Language inspired by the game. History of trivia quizzes. Great. Pub quizzes in the UK. Wonderful. Serial killers. Okay. Went dark all of a sudden. Cold cases from the past. Students make their own trivia quiz. There we go. Yeah, beautiful. That is exactly what we're looking for. People to think about how a game could be used in many different layers. Alibi. Okay, question forms past tense. Good. Okay, so looking at the language components of the game itself. Language around the game. Discussion before and after. Okay. Inspired by the game. Speculation and assessment. Invent an alibi. Writing questions. Okay, wonderful. I know there's some people that have wrote. Oh, and then I made this kind of little tool. Well, I had already made it. I didn't just whip it up in 3 days. I'd made this tool before this activity actually came out. So, and yeah, it's just a random number generator essentially, where the numbers are LLP components. So I know some people use this to think about a game. Catherine got No Man's Sky. Is that right? Carlos got Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, let's have a look at Carlos's. Carlos, are you here today? Carlos is not here today. Okay, so language in the game, character descriptions, inventory, lore items. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons, the language in the game is going to be a lot, right? There's a lot of language in the game. Language around the game, obviously interacting with it, talking together. Yep. Language inspired by the game. Creature vocabulary, RPG communities, movies, quests, the hero's journey narrative. Yeah, wonderful. Jane, would you like to introduce yours? I know you're here. You got Clash of Clans.
Your generator is really cool.
Cheers.
So I did it several times because I didn't know some of the games that you had.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
So I got Clash of Clans and I played that one before. So I went ahead and did the Clash of Clans. So the language in games I thought were the characters and the type of troops or the different types of builder base. And language around the game, I was thinking about. I went to Google it or YouTube it, and then I was surprised that this game they have World Championship.
Yes.
Yeah, playing, and they're serious with this, and so they were doing some offensive and defensive strategies, and I Googled the Clash of Clans wikis, and I thought that the championship YouTube videos is a really good source of language around the game that we could encourage students to play or listen to or watch the YouTube videos. So I went through. I was thinking about the language inspired by the game, and I'm not sure what to put there. So I put down on the YouTube videos, I put down the messages that the fans have left, like for the esports team that they're rooting on the channel. And some of it were like they were congratulating the winning team. Some were comforting the team of that lost the game. And some were expressing their appreciation for hosting the tournament. And so I thought perhaps we could teach students by going through the messages, like how to leave these messages. I'm not sure if this is language inspired by the game or...
Yeah, absolutely. I think language inspired by the game as well. You could go out and look at, say, well, where do these words come from? Like goblins, giants. What's the origin of these words? What's the history of these words? Something like that. Go really far back. What games is Clash of Clans inspired from? What are the other games in that genre? That kind of thing. Just like going out in all different directions. But wonderful stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, this around the game idea is fantastic. The idea that there's wikis and people taking games seriously and places where you can find more information about the game online. Yeah, definitely a great example of around the game work here. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Oh, and this is some of the language that you found from the Clash of the Clans.
Oh yeah, because the generator got prepositions, and I was like, okay, I need to go through the recording. And then I I had some some of the prepositions like jump into it, hang on to hanging on to this battle blimp and going down and things
Wow.
like that.
That's some serious research. Thank you very much. I love it.
Thanks.
Okay. We have, how do I say this? Solili Lala. Yeah, I know you're in the channel here. Would you like to introduce us to the game that you found? Alias. Can you use your microphone? Let me have a look. Solili Lala, are you available? Maybe not. Well, if you can figure out your mic, let us know. I'll just go through it real quick then, I guess. Alias, what is this game, Alias? Does anybody know Alias? I'm not sure what Alias is.
Nope.
Elena, okay. Well, we've got
Is it
definitions.
like a nickname or something like that?
My mic doesn't seem to be working. Okay. A nickname game. Okay. We'll come back to it. Nat, would you like to introduce us? Oh, team tactics. I mean, there you go. You're all about your team tactics, team fight tactics. So let us know more. If you're there, Nat, please feel free to introduce some of the ideas that you had about team fight, TFT, we'll call it.
Apologies, I couldn't figure out how to get my mic to be unmuted, but yeah.
Good.
So team fight tactics is part of Riot. So it's not League of Legends. It's an auto battler game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I understood the assignment correctly. Yeah, that's it. That's correct. Yeah. I don't know if I understood the assignment correctly, so I don't know if I've answered the questions quite as accurately as I should do, but the language in the game, I was describing what things we can do with the language in the game, and then language around the game, and then elements that are inspired by the game.
Looks absolutely perfect to me. Yep, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, so within the game, because it's an auto battler, the class descriptions and the character descriptions are quite detailed, and there's a lot of depth. So that itself that we could do discussion regarding the tactics. So what classes and origins you can combine, questioning other players. So it's not really a game where cooperation is necessary, but there are modes within the game where you can do double up. So then you can create a situation where there has to be cooperation. What else? So crafting items, the descriptions of items and instructions of what their abilities are. Special card descriptions. So they've got something at the moment called arguments where it enhances your team. So we could talk about that. Asking for clarification. So if somebody's new to the game, they will be asking for clarification on how to play the game, what certain classes are, what certain abilities are, and so forth. And language play. So, if somebody has played the game, normally there's natural conversation whilst the game is happening. So there's that as well. And then language around the game. So discussions relating to classes' origins and lore of the game, using TFT Wiki, YouTube videos for lessons, and then language inspired by the game. So I put memes and Reddit posts in there because I feel that would have more language inspired by the game rather than specifically for the game. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean, you've thought about it a lot, so I like it. TFT is basically a solo player game, right? Is it multiplayer?
It is multiplayer, so there's 9 people in the game, but you're playing your own board.
Ah, okay.
Unless you're playing double up.
Mm.
One of the ideas that I had would be that for a particular lesson or a program, they would direct you on how to play the game. So you would stream the game, and then they would direct you on what
Right.
what items to build and what's not as well. Or you could do it the other way around. The teacher could direct them.
It's like the chess games where they do the brain and the hands. Like one's the brain, one's the hands. So
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, wonderful. You thought about it a lot. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, transferable language skills, of course. For something as specific, I guess, as teamfight tactics, having those explicit discussions about, well, how can this actually be used outside of the game, and getting them to notice that. The idea of transferability is probably going to be something really important here. So yeah, good that you've included that.
Do you think that because it's a single player game, in the sense that you've got your own board, that maybe it's not quite apt for digital game-based learning?
No, not at all. I mean, it depends what your goals are, really, and how well you scaffold it as a teacher. I think one of the problems with digital game-based language learning, which we try and steer away from, to be honest, is that they are specifically focused on skill learning through gameplay. And now if something like Teamfight Tactics doesn't promote speaking skills, for example, then it's instantly not going to be very useful for a digital game-based language learning environment. But if you're using it in the classroom and you can scaffold it to say, well, we're not going to be speaking during the gameplay, but we're going to be doing these speaking activities around it, that it's going to lead into transfer, blah blah blah, then it's obviously going to be useful there. So again, it's not what it is, it's what you do with it as a teacher that we're kind of focused on here. And if you can show that you can do all these things around it, then it should work fine, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's have a look. We've got Efrosini. How's it going? Are you there? Please tell us about your Happy Families game. Your mic is muted, by the way, Efrosini. If you want to turn your... can you talk?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I always have my young learners in mind with their limited language range, limited word experience, and also limited digital literacy.
That's wonderful, yeah.
As well, the technical issues that we have, and the logistics, as you aptly called it in the webinar that we were advised to watch in the first week. So that's why I chose something that doesn't require any technology, and I chose a classic game, Happy Families, with very limited vocabulary and language range as regards the language in the game. And I had my starters in mind who are below A1 level, but then I thought that the language around the game, and especially inspired by the game, could be extended to higher levels as well.
Wonderful, yeah.
Level. And okay, depending on what treatment you give the topic, that can even go higher, although the game itself is probably very limited for higher level students, although they are younger. So the language in the game is about the colors, because families are red families, orange families, etc. Classically, the family men, and then we'd have to work on the language required to play the game. Around the game, we'd have to have a look at the rules. So I found a simple explanation of the game. Although since then I found a video that's short enough and that's explained by children, and whatever difficulties regarding the language might be made up for by watching the video, because they are doing it actually. So we could always work on that.
It's a wonderful point, actually, Efrosini. I'd just like to stress that, actually. that sometimes rule books for these games, I mean, maybe Happy Families is a very simple game, but the more complex board games, even as a target language speaker, as a native speaker of your language, sometimes the rule books are quite difficult to understand, but by actually watching a video explanation, it can kind of bridge that gap between reading proficiency and just being able to understand through visual prompts. So yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, thanks.
So we could branch out on talking about their own family, their preferred family members, the importance of family versus friends. Who is more important to you, your family or your friends? Who do you trust more? And this could be turned into a project where they would prepare a poster, and we could go around the school and present it to other classes, so they have audience in mind, and this also prepares them for presentation skills.
Amazing. Yeah, fantastic.
They could write a report on the game, giving their impressions, or sending an email to a friend, which is then preparing them for the writing activities, for the various exams that they take, because Greece is a very exam-friendly country. So they'll have this communication activities, but also preparing for the exams. And then we could do research about the game in Greece and variants. For example, recently a variant of the Greek Revolution has come out, because last year we celebrated the 200 years since the fight for Greek independence. So there's a version with heroes and families of the war. But then we could move on to seeing what's played in other countries, the history of the game, how it's played in France. It started in France, I think, then in England. They could talk about card games in general, what card games they play, if they like them, what card games are popular in Greece, and in what there's a great culture there in Greece. Then card games are played, for example, at New Year to bring luck. Could talk about some cultural aspect and maybe see if in other countries they have such a culture of card games. And then we could move on to YouTube and see if there's an online version or online versions of the games. There's one on Facebook, Happy Families.
Yep.
And also other variants. There's a Harry Potter variant.
Harry Potter family.
And then, yes. This would be fine for Harry Potter lovers.
Which could
in
then
terms of
you
language
mentioned
within the game, I don't think that would be very interesting for me, actually, but still it's interesting to see.
Yep.
And we could move on to the students giving their own ideas and making their own game,
exactly. Yes.
Not choosing families, but topics that they know. Even for my little ones, for example, they could choose animals, they can choose toys, and then instead of having categories that are colors, they might have, for example, for animals, land animals, sea animals, I don't know, two-leg animals, and kind of thing.
I really like this one, the videos on Greek family, analyze features of Greek family and create a subtitled version. That kind of extension activity is pretty amazing. Yeah. And
that's really useful because mediation skills, which are presented in the CFR as the fifth skill, so a skill in itself, has been ignored by most publishers and language testers, but not by the University of Athens, who also is a language tester. And so it is being tested in the exam. So I've lost all inhibitions about introducing the mother tongue in when I was young, I used to be for the total immersion.
Right.
But now I've lost all inhibitions, and I don't have, I have no objections to using actually mother tongue materials, text, videos, which can then be either translated or adapted into English, and a lot of language is produced, and you can get a lot of mileage.
Wonderful, yeah, I love it. I mean, you've totally understood the idea behind LLP, and yeah, I just can't wait to see some of your projects now. Honestly, it's wonderful to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Barbara, we got one more here. Would you like to introduce yours? Then we'll move on to
Yes.
week 4 material.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah.
I did it in my Google Doc, but not here.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, the game has no use of technology. In this case, students sit in a round shape, and they have to pass the message. Do you know the game?
Kind of like a message game. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I do sometimes is to use rhyming words. We start from the easiest to the most difficult, and of course, if the level is more complex, you can use more complex sentences. And to begin or to explain or to demonstrate the game, you should use instructions, vocabulary. I thought about reactions, like, what? I don't get it. Are you kidding me? Like at the ending? And then language inspired by the game, we discuss the message. And we discuss what happened.
I see.
Like, for example, if I'm focusing on pronunciation, which were the similar sounds.
Yep.
What happened to the structure, or what was the structure involved here? But I think I could add more things because it was quite short.
That's okay. No, I really like this last one. It connects to language learning. You know, it's how did the sound change and why did it change? Is it because these sounds are similar? Why are these sounds similar? What other words? You know, you're branching out into, you know, learning about more vocabulary and maybe rhymes, poems you could go into. If these words sound similar, then can you use them at the end of a poem? And how do you write a poem? What is the structure of a poem? This kind of, you know, it just leads on to something else, and that's what we'd like to see. So yeah. Wonderful.
Yes, I'm thinking about using that sentence, for example, to start a story. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Sounds great. Yeah. All right. So thank you for everyone for introducing your games, and yeah, it's really good to see that people have thought about not just the game or the thing that you've chosen. We talked about it last week. The idea of, you know, maybe you play this Happy Families game, and it's you learn family words. It doesn't have to end there. There's you know, more things that you can do with games in, before, around, after, blah blah blah. Just think about how it can reach out into lots of other areas. So the game itself is a springboard, or the gameplay session is a springboard towards further language and literacy activities, and everyone seems to have done that wonderfully. So yeah, thanks. Okay, so we're going to go over week 4 material now. Shouldn't take that long. It's a lot of work for us together. Actually, it's a group activity, so I hope everyone's got their fingers ready to do some typing. And then once we've gone through the language stuff, I'm going to give a brief introduction to week 5 material and let you know what the plan is for next week. And again, if you're just joining us, next week we're going to do a show and tell session, basically. So the idea of this this LLP course is that throughout the 4 weeks so far, you've thought about ludic things that you know, you've thought about language. Well, today we're going to think about language, but you've thought about pedagogical approaches, like how to teach TBLT, PPP, things to do before playing, after playing. The final week, I've actually put all the content on the worksheet now. So week 5 is putting it all together, and the idea is that, you know, we've introduced ludic activities, pedagogical activities, language activities, and then the final activity for you is to actually make a lesson plan of some description. And then next week, hopefully we'll be able to introduce these lesson plans to each other. Say, well, I took Happy Families. This is how I'm going to teach with it in my context. I'm going to do 4 lessons. The first lesson will do this. The second lesson will do this. Third lesson, fourth lesson. And get some feedback from other participants. So, yeah. Today, this week is the week where you have the most homework, basically. This week you have to design something for introducing next week. So I'm going to pop back up to week 4 on the Google document. By the way, the Google document, if you're in here and you can see some names that they're just showing on my on the stream here. In the top right, you'll see, for example, there's an anonymous lemur, an anonymous quagga. I don't know what a quagga is. An anonymous cormorant, which is obviously a bird, and then Rosebud. So what I wanted to say is that if you click on the person's face, you can see where they are looking in the document. So, for example, I'm not on Rose's page. If I click Rose's face up here, the Google document shifts down to where Rose is looking, and then I can see Rose's cursor here. So if you ever get lost and you don't know where James is looking, click on James's face in the top right, and you'll see my cursor. All right. So week 4. If you're on the stream and you're not in the Google document, feel free to come and join us. If you want the link, let me know. But you can help us fill it in. So, what language skills are you currently teaching? Just as a little reflection, a little thinking activity. What language skills are you currently teaching? Feel free to fill in this table. It can be anything. It could be, ESP, English for specific purposes, reading skills, yep. Test preparation, everything. Lovely. Efrosine is teaching everything. I'll just check Discord a second, make sure everything's okay. Nad joined the LLP Discord. Hey Nad, welcome. Nad, we're doing the EVO2022 course. That's the course that we're doing. So you'll need to click the right emoji to game. All good, sir, all good. Maybe I'll inspire you to become a language teacher, Nad. Because I know you speak a bunch of languages. All right, great. Minecraft focused content, love it. Okay, so that's a good overview of what everyone's teaching. Grammar, grrr, exam prep at B2, CLIL. Okay, fantastic. ESP for engineers. Okay, great. So the next box for us to fill in is, what other skills might our students need? Just in general, this can be, all of us can write things in here. What other language skills might our students need? Anything on your list that is not covered? Presentation skills, okay. Wonderful. Social emotional skills. Okay, yeah. Organizational skills. I need that too. Storytelling, interesting. Soft skills, meta language, critical thinking. Wonderful, yeah. Yeah. Study skills, yeah. Managing their projects, yeah. Great. Okay, let's keep going. So from the skills that you have wrote in this box, the skills that you're currently teaching and the skills that you think students might need, just pick a few. And then what we're going to think here is, well, how easy or difficult is it to teach these skills? So, the pedagogy, to teach these language skills, the L, with or around ludic activities, games. So from an LLP perspective, how easy or difficult is it to teach speaking? Depends. I mean, probably not difficult if you get the right game, yeah? I mean, the idea is that if you've got the right game or the right teaching, all of these should be 0, right? I mean, we can take presentation skills and it should be easy if the pedagogy, the language, and the ludic all align. But just take a few moments and let's think about, for example, social emotional skills. How could we teach that? Is it going to be something really hard to teach with games and play, or not? I mean, it's open to your subjective opinion, but or ESP, maybe that's quite difficult, or ESP for engineers with games, maybe that's difficult, or maybe not. So yeah, just grab one of these skills and then think about how easy or difficult it might be. There's no wrong or right answer. Oh, I got a follow. Thank you, the sexy mocha. The more difficult the skill, the better. Yeah, I'll take one look. I'll do another one. Meta language. I mean, should be easy. I'll put one just in case. There we go. Easy. Yeah, basically working. This is Moha. Basically working. Oh, someone. What happened? Oh, it just popped down here. Yeah, this is a kind of a job. Oh, the table keeps jumping around. I don't know why. So yeah, Moha, my job is basically a language teacher, and this is a course about language teaching. So yeah. Social emotional skills. I think this is something that can be taught a lot with games, right? Especially with games, because you may get very invested in a game. You know, you may have you could play Monopoly with your family, and you know your dad's winning or your mum's winning, and you get angry, and it's like, well, why am I getting angry? And it's like, well, let's look at the emotions that's going on here. Learning to manage emotions, build healthy relationships, and feel empathy is a tall order. Okay, we can observe that or learn through interaction and L2. Yeah, but also you can talk about the emotions that you felt at the start of a game. Maybe you could draw a graph. Maybe you could have like a League of Legends game. Whew. And you could say, right, start the game feeling confident, and then you know the jungler dies, and I know your confidence goes down, your rage goes up. So you can kind of map actions in the game to how your feeling changed over time with like a graph, you know, positive, negative.
You dislike gamification, but this really sounds like gamification, having these graphs and, you know, giving rating to different.
No. I'm not saying giving ratings. I'm just saying introducing how you felt over time. That's not really gamification.
I get it.
Yeah. I don't see anybody in gamification saying, okay, let's really study how our feelings were over the last 45 minutes. Gamification's like, you got 10 points for doing that. Well done. There's no reflection. Well, at least in my view of gamification, at least. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it's an interesting thought though. We talked about gamification as essentially providing data on your performance, right? I understand that aspect of it, but I don't think you can quantify someone's feelings with gamification. It has to come from yourself, right? Play performance, you won or you lost, you got 10 points or you didn't. That's something that can be done via gamification because it happens on the side of the computer. But for somebody to then map their own emotional state to that, I'd like to think it's not gamification. Moha, yes, I live in Japan. This is Japan. Problem solving, okay. Games like escape rooms. Intercultural communication, okay. Yeah, multiplayer games. I've had some really good success with Reddit, just getting students to use Reddit as intercultural communication. Okay, I'll give you another 1 minute, and then it will be a nice 50. Sheesh, that's cool. Thanks. Learning fair play and respect. Yeah, that's a great one. Good point, Catherine. I guess that's you writing it. You are the anonymous Lima. Exam preparation is tricky with games. Yeah, usually have a certain structure. We could set a purpose and make it a game. For example, an email to a friend. Yes. This idea of playful role play as writing preparation. Yeah, wonderful. Good. I don't agree with the rating. Love it. Yeah, we got some fighting going on here. All right. A communication exam activity. Okay. All right. Let's stop there. So you got some wonderful ideas here about how different skills can be taught through games or through pedagogical support of gameplay. So yeah, particularly interested in this one, the idea of thinking about writing an email to a friend as a playful activity to help writing for exam preparation. Critical thinking, ESP, games to check vocabulary, enrich vocabulary. Yeah, I mean, again, these things like ESP for specific purposes, think about role plays. And something that keeps coming up is strategic interactions, like role plays, but with, what's the word? Goals for each of the participants in the role play. So strategic interactions. Yeah. Right. So, we've thought about different language skills and we've put them into basically two different levels here. We've got the idea of CLT, communicative language teaching skills, and then CLT and other literacies. So we're not just thinking about like pronunciation. Well, I mean, these are kind of like core language skills, if you like. So CLT would be more like, core language skills. It's hard to define core, I guess. So I won't put that. But the things that are typically taught on a CLT class, in a CLT class. So you've got the 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, writing, grammar skills, vocabulary skills, standard assessed skills. So the CEFA skills, the actful skills. And then intercultural competence, so talking to others in another language, of course. And then things that are kind of maybe less focused on are these kind of other literacies. Genre analysis, so comparing a newspaper to a tweet to a novel or an academic piece of text. These different genres and what they look like. Maybe it's more advanced. Maybe level 2 is, because it's level 2, maybe more advanced. It's hard to define, how to call these things, but yeah, I think these are a little bit more maybe advanced skills. Multimodality. So how does an image work in a piece of text? For example, a tweet. What is a meme? For example, understanding memes is probably not really going to be in CLT skills, is it? But again, hugely important, which is why you can't say that these are core and these are not core. Multimodality, text analysis. So who is the audience? Why are they writing? This kind of thing. Literature appreciation. ESP, EAP, because obviously these are for specific and academic purposes. Not everybody's going to need these skills. Cyber pragmatics is a term which basically is, it kind of means net slang. Net slang is a huge, for me at least, a hugely important part of language learning. So yeah, memes and net slang are something that I focus on quite a lot. And yeah, you perhaps don't get that in very core, general CLT work. Free speech and protest, social issues, this kind of thing, through language learning. So yeah, it's interesting to think about the different kind of language skills that teachers focus on, and what else is possible, what else is available to teachers. So yeah. The question is, how could you bring some of these level 2 skills into your classroom with games? If you can't answer the question now, let us show you below. So it's a little bit of a show and tell time from us. We've looked at language, and so examples of connecting language and pedagogy with or around games. So vocabulary. Of course, we can use things like Quizlet and quizzes to drill vocabulary. I also used, there's a link here to my Kotaba Rollers worksheet where we look at language, and you'll see that there are sections in the workbook here for students to think about important words in the game that they play. So yeah, of course, focusing on vocabulary is an important activity. Jonathan also has a worksheet here which is based on Nation's vocabulary work, and this one asks students to find a word, translate it, or find the definitions of the word, write out the pronunciation in the IPA format for notation, what kind of word it is, think of the content, think of the application. So, you can do all of these deep vocabulary activities around single words in games. And this is one from WarioWare on the Wii. So this word drop, you can see drop, it means otosu, it's a verb. How is it used in different contexts? So, just from that one word in a game, depending on what the teacher does, depending on the pedagogical, at least the mediation, the support that we do, you can go quite deep on or not on vocabulary around games. So here, essentially, there are some resources for you guys just to get inspired, or at least use as a reference for your own lesson plan. We've got vocabulary ideas, we've got grammar ideas, quiz making for grammar. This one's really inspired, actually. Spano, who is one of the people... Hey, what's that? I've got a link to a tweet of mine. That's weird. Okay. Yeah, quiz making. So it's getting students to make quizzes around a game that they've played. I did this with Among Us. That is the tweet, actually, yeah. So I had students create little visuals, give some information, and give a prompt, and the other students would have to answer what they would do in that situation. So it's kind of like situational awareness based on playing the game. So here, look, you can say, you saw red or black kill green. What would you say during the emergency meeting? And then there are some answers here. So these are all the answers from the other students. So again, it's quiz making to look at grammar and to think about situational image training for a game that you play. I'm gonna skip some of these because they're for your reference at home. Speaking skills. So how do we teach speaking skills? Well, the magic burger of LLP, and that is prepare to play, reflect, learn some grammar, and play again, and then do a final reflection. So we're saying that you should make a club sandwich of play. You need to play a game at least twice in order for language to be, acquired by the student. One play session, it's not going to be enough. So yeah, always try and do it again. Always try to play again. Whatever you do, always try to do it again, and that creates this kind of magic burger of play. Pragmatics. There's lots of stuff here, but again, I've used Reddit. Have students look at the game that they like on Reddit. This is what game is this? Apex Legends. That's right, Apex Legends. A student went onto the subreddit, posted, and got involved in the community, learning lots of slang. Here you can see he found this AF, he found this heart, and this cute with the long U as something that they do on the internet to show emphasis. So you can use Reddit to teach cyber pragmatics and slang and things like this. Okay, so yeah, we've got a bunch of materials here that you can reference to think about how you could teach skills in your own context, basically. Okay, so that's pretty much the week 4 content. It's looking at language. What language skills can we teach? What language skills are we not currently teaching? And then the idea is to post on your player worksheet. Where is the worksheet? Here it is. In section 4. Oh, that's not the one. Let me just open Barbara's here. It's the same activity that we just did, but as a solo player. What are you currently teaching? What do students need? And how else could you teach these skills? Okay. And that leads into week 5. That leads into week 5, which I'm going to cover now, actually. I'm going to go over this now. Anyone got any questions before we end here about what we talked about in week 4? The idea of different skills and how you could teach those skills and some of the resources. I mean, I haven't gone through all the resources, but any questions about week 4 material? I'll take the silence as a no, James, we're good. All right. So, probably put a pause here. Maybe do 2 videos. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, everyone, welcome to week 5 content. I'm your host, James York. We're going to look at week 5 content now, which is the actual goal of this course is to put all of this together. You know, we've talked about folk games, we've talked about mediation, we've talked about PPP, we've talked about vocabulary learning, you know, all these different things. Now the idea, the final kind of serious homework, the serious kind of work for the participants is to put this all together. Yeah, I'm just going to read this. We've covered many topics in this course and you've reflected about them in your player workbook. We've introduced the idea of play and ludic activities over digital game. Okay, the idea is that, you know, ludic, well, I guess we could write it like this, equals play and digital games. Do not feel obliged to use League of Legends or Minecraft or anything that you cannot use in your classroom. Okay, we're not pushing a particular kind of game. Of course, if you want to use a digital game and you can use a digital game in your context, wonderful. But do not feel obliged to. It's not something that you must do. We talked about ludic, language, pedagogy, the field, the journal, the revolution. I forgot I wrote that. And the idea of freedom to play. Okay, so even if you cannot use games and play in your class, can you do something adjacent? Can you do something that maybe talks about games? You know, maybe you could look at a game review or something. You don't have to play, but just try and think about your own context and how much freedom you have. Okay. Week 2, we looked at pedagogy, so the various approaches to language teaching, the important choices that a teacher can make, and the connection between play, games, and pedagogy. Week 3, we looked at games and ludic in general, so the many types of ludic activities, the various layers of learning in and around games, which we just looked at the start of today's session. Game mechanics and how teachers' mediation can promote additional language learning. And then today, this morning, for the first hour here, we've looked at what it means to teach language. Is it 4 skills? Is it social emotional learning? Is it organizational skills? Is it ESP? This kind of thing. So we've looked at, you know, CLT and wider literacy skills. Okay, so it's time to put it all together. So think about the who, the what, the where, the why, the how, the methods, the materials, the mediation of your classroom or your teaching context in order to create a lesson plan that you can actually use in your classroom. Okay, we want you to create something that you can use. It's no point in in creating something that you cannot use, because then I don't think you'll be very inspired to do it. Plus, if you use your lesson plan, if you do create something and you use it, we'd love you to submit the results of that to the journal. And then if you're somebody that needs additional career experience points, this is a great opportunity for you. If you don't need the experience points, you can consider it just as like writing a blog or something and getting your voice out there, but in an academic journal. So win-win. So this week we'll show you how context is important to consider before you write a lesson plan. So we're going to show you some thoughts that you should be thinking before you write your lesson plan. Consider your context, then you'll write a lesson plan by February the 11th, which is going to be, let me get my phone here. February the 11th is Friday. Okay, so Friday, and then we're going to meet Saturday to share them between each other. That should be the 12th, right, for you guys. So I'll change that. And then you're done, yeah. So on your player worksheet, you'll see at week 5, there is a box. And it's for you to think about your context before you start to write a lesson plan. I have created a version here based on my own experience. So my students, who are my students? I was teaching science. Well, yeah, I'm teaching science and engineering students at a university in Japan. Goals. The goals of the class were very unclear. I was given kind of free range of what to do. So it was a 4 skills class. And I was in charge of speaking and listening. Okay, so think about your goals that you're teaching. The context. So in my case, it was mandatory speaking and listening classes. And then we have the Ludic, the language, the pedagogy, and the first steps. So I'm teaching speaking and listening. I know that board games, hidden role board games, promote a lot of speaking and listening. Maybe they'll be useful. You know, these games make people speak. They're also a lot of fun. Maybe this can be something I use in my classroom. Language, again, so teaching speaking and listening. I wanted to maximize student speech time in class. The pedagogical approach that I took, well, when I first started this, flipped learning was kind of hot, flipped classroom. So I thought, maybe I could, if I flipped the classroom and pushed all the non-speaking stuff to homework, I'll be able to maximize student speech time. Perfect. Okay, this story doesn't end well. Okay, I'm talking about this from my past, so 2014-15. So what I had students do is I had some board games. I decided to have students play a different game each week. And that is not the magic burger of play. If they're playing a different game each week, they're not playing twice. This is not gonna end well. So my idea was, right, go home, read the rule book, come to class, play the game, lots of speaking. This is gonna be great. You know, as a first step, it's fine, right? So as a first step. Reflection. What happened is that students really struggled to play a new game each week. They also weren't playing the game in English because some of them hadn't read the rule book at home. You know, they didn't know what to say. It was their first time playing, so they didn't know how to play or what to say. I needed to provide them with some more support. So this is my first step into what I'm doing right now, basically. Nothing worked. It was just way too fast. And so I thought about the next steps. On your worksheet, there are no next steps because you are not, you haven't implemented your lesson plan. But again, this is the kind of thing, I mean, up to here, basically, is what you're going to think about for this lesson plan. And then next steps. So yeah, we'd like you to complete activity 1 on your player worksheet and then create your lesson plan. Now, if you look at your worksheet, I'm looking at Barbara's again here. This is the same as what I just filled in, but activity 2, create your lesson plan. There's nothing here. It's completely empty. There's nothing
So
here.
playful, so playful. I can't, every time I look at this, I just have to laugh hard because it's so funny. Thank you. So
Yeah.
great.
The point is, we really do not want to influence your lesson plan design. I mean, you're all teachers. You have ways of making your lesson plans. If we provided a box and say you must do, a pre-play, a post-play, and it's just, we do not want to have any control over your lesson planning. So that's why this is completely empty. Okay. However, on the course book itself, there are some ideas for you in terms of creating your lesson plan. There are some pedagogical approaches that we've got here. We've got, just play approach, a PPP approach, and we've kind of put purple to show where gameplay fits into these what is it, approaches, basically. So maybe you have a lesson plan that is 3 lessons. Your first lesson you're going to present, the second lesson you're going to practice, and the third lesson you're going to do a production activity. So that's how you'd structure your lesson plans. It doesn't have to be a single one as well. Debriefing, TBLT lesson plan, my KR model, which is maybe 5 or 6 lessons. Multiliteracy's lesson plan. So these are all kind of models to kind of get you thinking about where you're going to incorporate gameplay, if at all, because here you can see the connected learning approach to teaching. There is no gameplay. You're just using games as a source of inspiration to do other things. So there are some ideas of structure, lesson plan structure. There's going to be a final activity next week, which is where we give feedback on each other's lesson plans. So again, I can't stress this enough. This week is the serious one where you have to create something to then get feedback from other teachers next week. And I'll talk about giving feedback. I'll talk about this next week, this particular activity, because we're going to do this activity next week. Activity 5.1 and activity 5.2. They are homework for this week. Activity 5.3 we're going to do next week. So that is the course book. At the bottom here in the appendix, there's a list of recommended games from me. There's a list of recommended games from Jonathan. If you're not quite sure how to make a lesson plan or what you're going to do, if you are lost, probably the best resource is this One Game to Rule Them All paper by Spano and me and Rose and Jonathan. We have included, what is it, like 5 or 6? I'll jump down to this part here. We've included 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lesson plans, LLP lesson plans based on the game Monopoly. So this may be inspiration for you in creating your own lesson plan. It may not be. You may already have a solid idea in mind of how you want to use a particular game to teach. It could be the game that we just looked at. For example, I know Efzon. What's her actual name? Efrosini. You've already got this really solid idea around families. Nat had a really solid idea around TFT. So if you want to use that, go for that. If you want to use something else, go for something else. But yeah, essentially this week, this is crunch time. We've got to get rid of John Travolta, and we've got to put a lesson plan here for other people to give feedback on next week. So yeah, that's the plan. Do you have any questions? I got a message here. Good reminder, James. Okay. What was that about?
No, I think you were talking about
I have a question.
not having to choose a digital game, but a game that fits.
Something we have already done. It doesn't matter if it worked or not.
Could you say that again, please?
Yes. should we write, as you did, about something that we actually did in class?
No, it should be something new.
Something new, all right.
That
Like,
you can put into
how would we take a game and all the different steps to carry out in class?
Yes, because then
All right.
we'd like you to use all of the knowledge or the learning that we've been doing to create a new lesson plan and then put that into practice. And then hopefully, if you take some photos or you have some feedback, hopefully you can then use that lesson plan and submit it to our journal as a kind of report of how it went. We'd love to see it. So, yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I'm thinking about this is new, like a theory, let's say, for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I am thinking about my teaching practice and how I can, let's say, complement my the ideas that I carried out in class.
Yes.
Include more things like extended activities, preparation, etc.
Sounds great. Yeah, I mean, so something that you've already done, plus what you've learned on this class as a new idea to carry out. Is that right?
Nice, good.
Yep, perfect. That'd be great. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. I hope we get some people creating lesson plans and putting them into practice. Because else, what's the point? What's the point in all this if nobody?
James, I could stay here and listen to you for hours. I just really love how you put this whole thing together, your research knowledge, and I mean, like, you're such an inspiration for us, right? That's why we are here, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for another very, really useful session. Every time we get here, we just kind of like always expanding. I hope all the participants feel the same, whether they participate live or watch the recording.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's I'm trying my best.
Yes, it's very inspiring.
Yeah, doing great.
Every session as well. I mean, every week live sessions.
Well, I just hope we've helped you think about how to create a lesson around games and gameplay, and I really look forward to seeing what you come up with, and hopefully you put it into practice, because I mean, that is LLP. We're very different to like call research, for example. Sometimes can be rather theoretical and not very practical, and we're really trying to push the practical side of games and teaching with games. So if nobody's actually gonna put this into practice, then I'm gonna start banging my head against the wall a bit more. But yeah, hopefully, this
don't
all right. So yeah, if you have any questions in the week, please get in touch on the Discord here. We will help you with your lesson plans, and next week hopefully we can share our ideas with each other, and then after that hopefully you can put them into practice and tell us how it went. That'll be my payment. I don't need money. I just need teachers doing cool things and telling me about it. That's all I need. All right. Okay, I think that's basically the whole content for the course. If you have any questions, let me know in the week. If not, we'll wrap it up here, I think. Have I missed anything, River? River's been keeping me on track. Let's have a look. Everything's done. Week 4 complete. One more session. Yeah. All the boxes are ticked.
Yeah. I think we're going to have another channel, maybe for people to come by and ask questions. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, like one final discussion channel.
I can do that, yeah.
For wrapping up the session and ask questions if they have. I think, one thing everyone should keep in mind is there are a lot of people here to help out.
Yes.
To, like run over the ideas and take a look before or think together. Just give us a shout out in the channel and we'll come and help whatever we can.
Thanks, Rose. Yep. Okay, right. I'm going to end the stream. Thank you for watching over there. I got some people watching teacher training. It's well, I'm quite surprised, but yeah. Yeah. Someone just mentioned, do I have a Discord? Yeah, we have a Discord for this, and we have a Discord for my Minecraft and Japanese learning stuff as well. So I'll send the link later. But yeah, I'm going to end the stream here. Thanks for watching. Boop, boop.